Hi there, today's video is going to be about business plans. So business plans is part of 1.4 GCSE Business. Firstly, what is a business plan? So a business plan is a document that outlines how an entrepreneur is going to set up a business. Often an entrepreneur, they might make just one business plan, or they might actually make several business plans. But it's an important process for an entrepreneur to go through before they actually start investing money and starting a business. So here's a little activity that you might want to do at home. So if you are trying to test your knowledge, you might want to pause the video now. Okay, but I'm just going to go through 6 things that are often included in a business plan. So the first thing will be an overview, and that will give some information as to the name, location, and the type of business it is. For example, whether it is a partnership, a sole trader, or maybe even a private limited company. It will also give some information about the products they sell, and they might also mention things like the unique selling points and how the products are differentiated from their competitors. The second thing that a business plan might include will be its objectives, and these could be non-financial objectives, so that's particularly relevant to a social enterprise, or it might be some financial objectives they may have. For example, wanting to break even, or wanting to make a certain amount of profit at the end of their first, second, or third year. The third thing that's included in a business plan is market research, and this might contain information about the size of the market they're going into, whether it's a mass market or a niche market. It might also give some information about the growth of the market, so whether that market has grown in the last few years or so, and certain trends within that market. Fourth thing that could be in a business plan is information about personnel. So personnel is another word we use for employees. Okay, so who are we going to hire, and what their roles going to be within that business? Fifth thing could be some financial information. So things like cash flow forecasts, forecasted revenue, forecasted costs, and forecasted profits. For an entrepreneur that doesn't have much experience, or may have no experience whatsoever in business or that industry in which they're working in, this could be a difficult part of business planning, as they're likely to have to predict cash flows. Okay. And the last thing that could be in there is some information about production. So for example, who their suppliers are going to be, and how their products are going to be made. Next thing, so this is really relevant to some of the questions that you'll be doing probably in a GCSE paper. So you might have, for example, a 3-mark question which asks you to explain one benefit of business planning to an entrepreneur, or it could also be a 6-mark discuss question, discuss the impact of business planning on the success of a new business. So thinking about the pros of business planning, so the first thing is that it can help reduce risk, and this helps the entrepreneur understand the level of competition within that market. So often when making a business plan, the entrepreneur may think, well, actually there's just too much competition in this market, so I'm going to scrap that business plan and not actually go into that market. But it gives the entrepreneur a good idea of who their main competitors are when they go into that new market. And from that, they might want to differentiate their products or the services they're offering, and that will help increase their chances of survival in that new market. The next thing, it also helps assess the potential financial success and failure of the business. So they might look through things such as their cash flow forecasts. They might actually identify, well, actually this business is making a negative cash flow, so I'm not going to go forward with this business plan. It could also help increase the likelihood of a bank granting an entrepreneur a bank loan. You have to remember that these entrepreneurs may have little to no background in business or owning a business before, so the bank is going to expect them to produce a business plan before actually lending them the money. Next one, it can help the entrepreneur make an informed decision about whether or not to go ahead with their business. Okay, so by informed decision, they're making a decision that's based on data, it's based on research. They're not just using their hunch, they don't just think this is a great idea, let's do it. Okay, they're actually factoring in things like market research, they're factoring in things like trends that they've identified, and that is again going to help them reduce the risk and hopefully increase the chances of that business succeeding. Next one, we've already covered that, so we'll go on to some of the drawbacks of business planning. First thing, very time consuming to produce. So we saw those 6 things that are included in a business plan. So all of those 6 things are likely to be involved in that document, which is the business plan. So for an entrepreneur wanting to start up his or her business, it's going to take away their time from maybe other important areas of the business. For example, maybe interviewing new staff, creating new products, setting up websites. Okay, they are very time consuming to produce, and actually they may not actually end up using them. This is a key one here. Okay, so for me, this is probably the most obvious one. Many entrepreneurs or want to be entrepreneurs may have little to no understanding or experience of the industry that they want to go into. So the inexperience of the entrepreneur can often result in them overestimating sales forecasts and cash flow projections. So what often happens is the entrepreneur may be biased, they might be emotionally attached to this business idea, and they might actually think, well, we're going to make a lot of money over the first year of this business. Often happens in restaurants. Restaurant owners may underestimate the impact that actually competition has on the sales that they're making within their restaurants. And it is only a plan. Okay, so once that plan is written, the business world is dynamic. It is changing hourly, daily, monthly. So there's a high chance that what's written in that business plan won't actually be a true reflection of what's happening in the business world. Next thing that you might want to do here is, here are 3 questions. You've got a case study there. So it's about a company called Skaters. Rob is a semi-professional skater in Bristol. Despite his love of skateboarding, Rob has worked as a salesperson for a well-known car company for the last 10 years. While comfortable in his job, he is considering creating a skateboarding school called Skaters, which would specialise in offering one-to-one sessions, but also group sessions for beginners to advanced skaters to improve their skills. He is unsure whether or not to go ahead with this business. So here are 3 questions. So what you might want to do now is pause the video and give those 3 questions a go. Remember, 3-mark questions, you've got to follow that structure there. Okay, so you're going to have to give your point. That point could be a benefit, it could be a way, it could be a reason, it could be a drawback. So it's really important to understand the command word of the question. And then you've got to use 2 connectives. Okay, and those connectives, they further explain that point that you're making. So you might use words like because, leading to, or therefore, to further explain that point and get those 3 marks. Okay, so you might want to pause the video now and give those 3 questions a go. Okay, so if you've answered those 3 questions, well done. Here are some of the suggested answers. Okay, well, the first one there is going to help Rob make a decision about whether or not to start his business. Okay, when Rob prepares that business plan, he's going to be able to assess the financial viability of that business. Okay, and by financial viability, I mean whether that business is likely to make a profit or a loss. Okay, so he's able to use documents such as the cash flow forecast, and that in turn is going to help Rob reduce the level of risk and the chances of that business failing. Second question there, it includes information such as the level of competition. So it's going to help Rob hopefully differentiate within his business plan. Okay, and that in turn is going to reduce the risk of business failure. So by differentiating, Rob might want to offer other services that other skateboard teachers are not offering. And the last one there, so question 3, my point was it is only a plan. So the data and the research included in the business plan mainly be a forecast. Okay, so remembering it's only a forecast, the actual performance of the business could be very different and also less positive than predicted. Okay, we've got to remember Rob has worked as a salesperson. He hasn't actually owned and set up a business before. Okay, so that data and research that he's included, it is only a forecast and it may not be accurate, and certainly not accurate to what actually could happen within that business. So hopefully that has helped you understand a little bit more about business plans. Okay, should be able to now explain what a business plan is, what's included in a business plan, and also be able to analyze some of the pros and cons of business planning, whether that's in a 3-marker or maybe in a 6-mark question. If this video has helped, please do click the like, please do click subscribe, as that would really help the channel out. But yeah, thank you very much for watching.